I'm your destiny, Steve. Your glistening bronze thighs. I need to feel them. I need to feel them. I need to feel them vice grip my tummy, my body. It's like, I guess that's what's going to happen, Jeff. Hello, I just wanted to thank you for clicking on my video, and I wanted to let you know not only do I create content on my YouTube channel here, Class in a Glass, but I'm also on Twitch where I play single-player games, multiplayer games. I do movie reviews, cartoon reviews, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Also, it would be a big help if you can check out my Patreon, where you can gain access to audio commentaries, reactions, and the ability to submit questions for my podcasts and videocasts. And all that content can be found in the links below. In the meantime, enjoy the video.
Heather Menzies, Steve Forrest, and Reb Brown as the star-spangled superhero Captain America.
But chat, again, for those of you who join me for the first time right here, welcome to the stream. I will be doing a scene-by-scene breakdown for Captain America 1979. We'll be jumping into some Mass Effect 3 single-player shenanigans chat to help my space wife, Tali Zora Vas Normandie, make peace with the Quarians and the Geth. And then, chat, we're going to be jumping into some Jackbox, some multiplayer shenanigans chat. But let's go ahead. Let's go and get tonight's review. Let me go ahead and raise my glass to you one more time. May the wings of liberty, nose of feather, your shake the bills of heaven as we speak. Cheers and salute to you, chat. But now, my friends, let's go ahead and get into the nitty-gritty details of this movie, chat. Actually, before I do that, I gotta ask you a question, chat. How many of you have seen the 1979 TV movie of Captain America? There were two. I'm talking about the first one that came out in 79. It was just called Captain America 1979. How many of you have seen this? Very, very curious, chat. Chris says, no, and I never will. You should. I did a commentary for you. You should watch the movie now. It made it a lot funnier. Casper, I have not. Lasso, I have not. Knowing Woman, nope. Darkslayer, I only know about the shield and most. Oh, yeah, they show those off, especially the fucking motorcycle. I don't think I've ever seen more, like, helicopter shots of a motorcycle than in this movie. I think this one took the cake. I was like, this is it. There is like 10 minutes, there's like 20 minutes of footage of you just following a motorcycle and or pedophile van. Captain America does indeed have a pedophile van, chat. I am not joking. It does not have like an American symbol on it. It has a seagull. It has a seagull on it, chat. That's what we're working with here. It was cheap. It's the one-handed motorcycle. Yes, it is. It definitely is that one. Haven't seen any of the 70s superhero flicks except Superman, which is what this film is capitalizing on, chat. Because Superman came out a year beforehand, 78. It's not even 480p. It is most certainly not. Osnick says, no. What happens is hard pass. Stranger Shoe, I have, but it was so long ago, I don't remember any of it. Luke the Boss, I didn't even know it existed until yesterday. Yeah, I love that. I've only seen a breakdown of it on YouTube, and it's bad. It's bad, chat. It's bad. Bilbo, back in the zone. If you talk, good to you, Bilbo. What up, just haven't seen or heard about this. That's good. That's good. So majority, some of you have seen this, but it's either you so bad you forgot, or you saw when you were very young and you forgot. But most of you have not seen this, chat. Well, I can tell you. This was the first time I ever saw this movie not that long ago. I was keeping this. I was keeping this in my bag of films that I watched, and I was sitting on this review, chat, all those weeks ago. But now I'm here to bring it to you, chat. Captain America 1979. I had not seen it until up a couple of weeks ago. And I've only heard things. I heard it was boring. I heard I had some unintentionally funny moments, and it has all those in spades, chat. Also, a copious amount of helicopter and or motorcycle scenes that kind of go nowhere. It's just a bunch of fucking B-roll, chat. A little background on the movie. It was directed by someone you don't know, Ronald, or who was the Rod? A lot of Rods, Rebs, and Ronalds in this film, chat. But it was directed by Rod Holcomb, who basically did a shit ton of 70s and 80s, 60s, 70s, and 80s television. Things like the A-Team and the $6 Million Man. And this feels like a shitty version of the A-Team or the $6 Million Man, like even cheaper, because they were just spread. Because those shows were what, between a half hour to like 40 minutes or something like that, relatively short, chat. But they're like, no, we're gonna spend like 90 fucking minutes making a A-Team episode, but have little action. And we're gonna cast Reb Brown, the great Reb Brown, chat, of Space Mutiny fame. I don't know if he had done Space Mutiny at this point, but he either has or he will be famous for Space Mutiny, chat. And I will say about Reb Brown. Acting, not great. Kind of boring. They don't really give him anything to do, so not all his fault. Like I always say, chat, you can be the most talented actor in the world, but if you have a shit script and you get in shit direction, your performance is going to suffer. You're probably going to give a bad performance here. But aesthetically, he looks like Steve Rogers. I mean, he's fucking built. It's like, but that's again, that's kind of weird because before he gets the super soldier serum, he's already fucking massive. I mean, this guy, he's an ex-Marine and shit like that they established in the movie. He's got this huge fucking muscle. He's got these thick thighs. I mean, he looks good. You know, he really looks good. And it's weird because when they put him in the Captain America uniform, like all of that muscle definition disappears, and it's very weird to me. I think it's a combination because they also had a stunt double wearing it, and his body changes size in like random scenes. Like, that's not Red Brown. It's like, oh, because that was a stunt double doing certain things like on the motorcycle and things. But the guy has a nice physique. I have to give that to him, Chad. Acting-wise, good. And I mean, overall, Chad, I mean, that's the problem with this movie. It's Captain America in, you know, only in name. Because it just kind of cherry picks certain things from the Captain America comics and very little. It just feels like a 1970s episode of a typical cop or spy thriller series, Chad, and one that just didn't have a lot of money. It's just that it happens to star Steve Rogers, Captain America, or at least a weird fucking version. Although technically, chat, this is a part of the multiverse. Any Marvel product that's been out there, it is now officially part of the multiverse, chat. So you do got that, and you do have that. So, but overall, yeah, they made not only this movie, they did make a sequel the same year, chat, for television. They did get a big star at the time. They did get Christopher Lee, who was, you know, known for a lot of his horror films, his Hammer horror films, which he did over in the UK, and he played the villain in that. I have not seen it. I don't know how it is, chat. Captain America got a new suit in that movie. It still looks fucking goofy, but it looks better than what they got him wearing here, chat. And everyone's asking, like, when does he put on the suit? Last 20 minutes of the movie, chat. And even then, it's like, you could have not had him wearing the suit, would have been fine. We didn't need to see the fucking suit, chat. Would have been okay. But overall, not a very exciting movie. Some unintentionally funny things, chat. But not, I will say, not the worst superhero film I've ever seen. Not the worst one, but not great by any means, by any stretch of the imagination, chat. But we have to start, chat. We have to start. It's the year 1979, chat. And Captain America, now he's not even Captain America, chat. Steve Rogers, or Steve-O, as his friends call him, he's traveling the United States, chat. See, he left the Marines. Okay, because he's like, I did my service for the Marines for America. Now I want to spend some time on me. Okay, he wants to clear his mind, and he bought himself a van with a flock of seagulls on it, chat, and he also has a dirt bike, which he attached to the back of the van. And he just wants to spend his time just drawing, you know, scenery and the coast, the West Coast, the East Coast, chat, kids. He's always drawing children. He's always trying to find groups of kids, and he's always looking behind a rock, and he's drawing. It's like, I don't like what you're doing, Red Brown, Steve-O. All right, you take it easy, okay? But that's what he wants to do, chat. He's left the Marines. He doesn't want to be in comedy anymore. He just wants to be a traveling artist. And he sunk all of his money, which he's earned from the GI Bill, chat, into this seagull pedophile van with dirt bike. And so he's going up the fucking coast, chat. And again, so much of this movie is just helicopter shots of B-roll, of them just filming traffic, of them just filming Steve in either his seagull van or his pedophile seagull van, his dirt bike, his Captain America bike. It's just that. Over and over and over and over and over again, chat. And so he's drawing and shit. And eventually he parks at this surfboard shop, chat, and he gets out. And I'll give this, like I said, chat, I'll give this to Red Brown. The guy's fucking built. He's got a nice physique. I mean, it kind of contradicts the whole origin of Captain America. He's like supposed to be this really scrawny guy, you know, who's, you know, then gets super soldier serum, and he gets that increased physique and the powers and everything. But it's the heart that makes him a hero, chat. Here he's got the heart, but he already has the muscles too. It's like, and I'll give him. He looks like Captain America. And so he gets out of his fucking thing. He's wearing some very tight, very short khaki shorts, chat. You're just watching them thick thighs. I mean, they're glistening. They're bronze, chat. This guy clearly has been sunning himself. He's been enjoying that California coast a little too much, chat. But he looks fucking good. He's got that blonde hair that clearly has been in the sun, chat. It's been kind of like bleached by the sun. But he gets out. He's a glistening piece of bronze man meat, chat. And he goes to see his friend, chat. I don't know the guy's name. It's his surf bro. But apparently he's been keeping all of them. He's been receiving the mail for Steve, and Steve's like, hey, bro, what's up, man? It's like, Steve, you just got out of the Marines, man. It's also like he's a hippie, and he's like, you're gonna go back to the military? He's like, nah, man, I'm just gonna travel the fucking states. Gonna travel the states for the next few years in my Seagull van and just draw children. It's very weird that they have for Steve doing. He's like, okay, he wants to be an artist. Fair enough. Fair enough. And he's like, did you get any mail for me? He's like, yeah, man, I got to come inside. And they go inside. And then meanwhile, this fucking creepy guy, this blonde henchman, I don't know what his name is, Chad, but he's got this very blonde hair, and he's in this very 70s garb, Chad. By the way, it's like 100 fucking degrees out right now, and this guy's in a turtleneck. He's got like a big heavy coat on. It's like, why are you wearing all that, man? You're gonna get heat stroke. But he stops his car and he's watching the surfboard shop, Chad, because he's been keeping track of Steve and his whereabouts. He's like, oh shit, did Steve get himself in trouble? Is he even aware? Steve's not aware of anything in this movie, Chad. He just fucking falls into problems. He's like, what the fuck is happening? I don't know. But they walk out. Surfboard guy, bro. He continues just I don't know, cleaning the surfboards. I don't know what the fuck he's doing. I guess he's waxing the surfboards. Steve goes through all these fucking letters, and he's like, what's up? He's like, there's this guy named Dr. Steve Mills. This is the 4th telegram he sent me. He's trying to contact me for some reason. I don't know. I'll check on him later. It's like, all right, whatever. Says he knows my dad, but then he gets to another letter, and there's so many, like, scenes of Reb Brown, like, reading something like this. Like, it's like, we don't see what you're seeing, Reb. I don't know what the hell's going on. It's, again, they just couldn't think of a way to, like show what was being, he could just talk, like, out loud what was in the letter. It's like, there's so many shots of him just, I was like, why? That's his script. He gets me reading his lines. He's like, I'm going to say this. That's what's going to happen to me? Whoa. And so he reads this letter, and it's from this this friend of the family, friend of his father and stuff, and some other people, Dr. Jeff Hayden. And he's like, I need to talk to you immediately, Steve, as soon as you have time. He's like, Surf Bro guy, can I go inside your shop and use your phone? He goes, of course, man. And so Steve-O, and they can fucking Surf Bro's like, of course, Steve-O, you could do. He always calls him Steve-O, chat. Wouldn't that be fucking amazing if Steve-O from Jackass was actually Captain America? That'd be fucking cool. That's all I picture right now. So, Dan Chris, you were checking this man. I was. He's hot. I'm sorry, Reb Brown is a handsome man in this movie. I can admit that. There's nothing wrong of admitting when you see a handsome man and admiring his thick bronze thighs, okay? And those fucking arms. It's like, whoo, baby. But he goes inside, and he calls Dr. Jeff Hayden, and we go to Dr. Jeff Hayden's office, and Dr. Jeff Hayden's like, oh, Steve, I have so much things to tell you. I need to tell you now. And he's like, well, you can tell me in the phone. He's like, no. Stop by the house this evening, and I will reveal everything to you. I'll reveal your destiny. And Steve's like, okay. He hangs up the phone. He walks out. And the fucking Surf Bro guy's like, well, is Dr. Hayden okay? And he's like, oh, no. He was acting kind of funny. He was talk about destiny and stuff. And I don't know. I'll go check. I'll go see him in a bit. Anyway, I'll see you later, man. See ya. And so he gets into his fucking pedophile van chat. And he's like, children. He also gives a picture to the guy. He also gives like a picture of like some fucking driftwood in the ocean. He's like, oh, thanks, Steve. I love it. He clearly threw that fucking thing out, but it's like, whatever. But he gets inside the van, and he drives off. But the blonde henchman Chad inside the car, he gets on his little fucking radio. He's like, he's coming towards you. Repeat, Steve Rogers will be at the location. Make sure you finish him off. It's like, whoa, what's happening? We then cut to a construction, like there's these people doing construction on the road, and they see Steve coming, and they block off traffic, and so, oh, sorry, sir, you're gonna have to go this way up this hill. And he's like, oh, no problem, thanks for letting me know. Like, he's really nice and shit. Thank you for the most admitting. Steve is like, I think the doc wants to fuck me. I mean, kind of. I'm your destiny, Steve. Your glistening bronze thighs. I need to feel them. I need to feel them. I need to feel them vice grip my tummy, my body. It's like, I guess that's what's going to happen, Jeff. He's like, okay. And so he goes up this fucking perilous road. It's very steep. He's like, whatever, it's okay. In his pedophile van. And the construction workers are like, close down the road. We got him. And so we cut and they contact this guy in this giant oil rig who starts, he gets the word that Steve Rogers is coming, and he's like, all right, I'm going to release the oil. And so he starts releasing like this oil slick down the road, chat. And so Steve's car, his pedophile van, passes the oil rig. And Steve's like, how you doing, Mr. Oil Truck Driver? Oh, no! And then he sees the oil. She's like, he's like skidding on the road and everything. Doesn't know what the hell's going on. Until eventually, Chet, oh no! He goes off the side of the fucking road, Chet, right over the cliff, and then bam, 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 bam. Car crashes, Chet, but he gets out. He gets out, and we just see a very long scene of him just going, oh man, oh no, my car, my bike, like everything's broken. He's like, no, he's very sad. And then we immediately cut. So the villains at this point, like, should the villains at this point, like, check to see if he's dead? Because you don't know. I mean, you did the oil slick thing, and you know his car maybe went off the road, but shouldn't you check to see? And they don't do that. They don't do that. They're like, he's dead, obviously. We then immediately cut to this research laboratory where Dr. Steve, I think his name is Steve Mills or something, and fucking Steve Rogers, and I don't know what the hell his name, Dr. Mills. His name is Dr. Mills. And, Dr. Mills. And so Steve just walks in without even telling him about, like, his accent and stuff. And Dr. Mills is like, oh, Steve Rogers, it's so good to see you. You're the spitting image of your father. And he's like, yeah, well, what's up, Doc? What do you need from me? And he's like, listen, Steve, I don't know if you knew about what your father's research was. He's like, he never told me anything. I don't know anything about it. He's like, fantastic. Let me show you this rat. And they go over to this rat, and he says, see this rat right here? It's the strongest rat in the world. It like lifts a fucking weight. And Steve's like, well, that's pretty cool. He goes, right, yeah, we injected it with an experimental steroid. It's what your father created. It's based on his own glands. And they say glands a lot in this movie, and like it's like your father put his gland juice inside of the rat. Okay, so the rat is technically your dad. And it's like, I don't know what the hell you're talking. He's like, and Steve's like, I don't understand. And basically, he's said, we made an experimental steroid, and it's called the flag formula, and it's called full latent ability gain. Steve's like, I don't get it. And he's like, fucking Christ. He made a super soldier serum. They actually don't say super soldier serum, but that's what this is. That's what this is. And he's like, listen, I want you to participate in this experiment, with us, because this formula, your father used it years ago, and it only worked on him. And the same cells that were in his body are now in your body, Steve. Your glands were his glands, and want to put your dad's gland juice inside of you. And Steve's like, listen, man, I just got out of the Marines, okay, Semper Fi, and I just want to fucking draw the children of America. I want to go from coast to coast. That's what I want to do. And he's like, are you sure? He's like, that's what I want to do, man. And he's like, but what about the rat? Isn't that cool? He goes, the rat thing's cool. I mean, are there any side effects to it? He goes, yeah, death. Yeah, all the animals we injected with your dad's gland juice, they've all died in like 2 weeks. Well, they go insane, and then they die. And he's like, why didn't you tell me that before? He's like, I wanted to see if you say yes first. It's like, what the fuck? Your dad is inside there. Now he's inside you, Steve. Thank you, Doc. Save with the Betty. And he's like, are you sure I can interest you? He's like, no. What if I present you with this hot lady? Her name is Dr. Wendy, and this character named Dr. Wendy comes in, and she also works on the flag formula chat with Dr. Mills, and she's like, hello, Steve, I've come to present myself to you and to woo you. He's like, listen, you're very beautiful and you have big bazoongas, but I don't want to participate in this, okay? One of the greatest American freedoms that we have right now in this country is to choose who we want to be, and I choose to be an artist. And he's like, all right, fine. Well, let us know if you change your mind, Steve. He's like, I will. And he does say I will. I haven't made up my mind yet. If I want to have my father's gland juice put inside me, but I'm not sure at this point. I need to go see my good friend, Dr. Jeff Hayden, who Dr. Mills also knows because they work together. They work together on other projects. I was like, all right, whatever. And so Steve he goes to Dr. Jeff Hayden's house, and it's been broken into. He's like, whoa, what's going on? He goes in the house, and with just a long fucking scene of him searching the house until he finally goes upstairs, chat, and he goes into his den. By the way, it's California. It's 100 fucking degrees out, and this fucking weird doctor has a fire going, like an actual fire in his study. It's like, why you got a fire going in your study? Unless you're burning secret documents, I don't know. I don't even know at this point. He's already done the review. Oh, no, I'm doing the review, dude. I'm doing the review right now. And so he goes up there, and he hears, oh! And he goes over to the side where fucking Dr. Jeff Harden has been stabbed multiple times in his tummy. He's like, Steve! He's like, Dr. Jeff Harden, are you okay? Catherine! And he dies. He's like, I don't understand. Why are you talking about your dead wife, Catherine? He says this dialogue. He's like, all right. And he goes to the desk. He's like looking at stuff. He's like, Catherine, I gotta call 911. He goes back downstairs. By the way, there's a fucking creepy guy in the closet just watching all this. Like, I like to watch. And he goes out. He comes out of the closet while Steve is downstairs, and he steals, like, a camera. He steals, like, a little fucking camera that was on the desk, and he also steals, like, a calendar, because whatever was written on it or something. Like, Steve wrote something on it, he wants to see it. I was like, what did you write on it? I want to know. And so then he fucking goes out a window. Eventually, chat, we cut to the Brackett industrial complex, the Brackett Foundation or whatever, and this is the bad guy, chat. Good old Tom Brackett. And where we see this limo pulling in through the security gate, and the security guard's like, "How you doing, Mr. Brackett?" And the guy goes, He doesn't even acknowledge him. Doesn't even say, "How you doing? Hope you're doing well. You're doing a good job." Just like, That's when you know you're a bad guy, when you don't acknowledge your staff. You just hold them in fucking contempt. And it's like that's villainy. That's a villain's MO, chat. All right, that's what they typically do. Just think about this. He wouldn't need a fireplace, just head to the nearest wildfire that burned any evidence he wanted to get rid of. He didn't even burn anything. He just had the fire going. He wasn't even trying to. I thought that made more, just like, okay, you started a fire to burn things. He didn't. He just had it going for whatever reason. But then Mr. Brackett, he goes into his office, chat, which is very 70s, looks very cheap. He sits down, and we see the blonde-haired guy come in, and he's and also this other guy who was in the closet. We're gonna call him Turtleneck Guy because I don't know what their names were. It doesn't matter, and they all have really bad 70s fashion. And blonde-haired guy, he's like, so yeah, listen, we tried to kill Steve Rogers, but he survived the crash, and apparently he went to Jeff Harden's house. And he reported it. Now the police are there. He goes, fuck, did we find the film? Did we find, like, the secret film and the camera and stuff? And they're like, we have it, sir, but the film is not inside of it. And he's like, God damn it. We need that film in order to destroy Phoenix, Arizona. Okay, so there's a weird plot point in the movie where what Mr. Brackett, Thomas Brackett, wants to do is to destroy Phoenix. But they never explain, I mean, I guess they kind of do, where they want to release the bomb, and it's Goldfinger. It's actually Goldfinger. That's the plot. So his whole plot, the neutron bomb, he's building, somehow, he's working with the United States government to build a neutron bomb in his complex, in his factory. And he's going to then steal the bomb and then drive it to Phoenix, Arizona, and detonate it, killing all those people. But it's because there's a very large gold repository there. And he wants to irradiate all that gold, and it'll be irradiated for like hundreds of years, and it will then increase the value of his own gold. It's straight up fucking Goldfinger. That's Goldfinger's plot in that original film, or Goldfinger. And I was like, what the fuck? It's the same thing. Oh, but also it's all good. It'll rise from the ashes. I guess rise from the ashes. Oh, yeah. So, yeah. So that's his plot. And so he's like, listen, we got to kill Steve Rogers, try to bamboozle him. And they're like, okay, I'm going to go meet the nerdy scientist guy. And so Mr. Brackett, he goes and meets the nerdy scientist guy who's building the neutron bomb. And the scientist is like, do you have the blue button where I put the film in? And he's like, I don't have the blue button. And he's like, we need that blue button, sir, in order to activate the neutron bomb, okay? We have less than 72 hours or some bullshit. And he's like, we'll get it soon. Don't worry, doctor. Actually, the scientist is giving him some sass, which is interesting. Because usually the guy, everyone's like, oh, we're so sorry, Mr. Brackett. Scientist is like, listen, man, I'm not going to be able to finish this unless you give me that stuff, okay? So fucking get to it. So I kind of like that the scientist was giving Mr. Brackett some sass. I appreciated that. What was it about this in the 1990 movie that took place in California? Couldn't get permits in Brooklyn? I think so. I think, you know what? It was less expensive to film in California than in New York. A lot of shows were filmed in California at the time in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. And then it stopped because California got more expensive to live. I would think that's the case. But yeah, that's why they always make, for whatever reason, Steve Rogers, he is a native of California, but whatever. And so I was like, all right, we'll get the blue, because apparently there's a blue button that comes with the film, and then once we have the blue button in the film, we'll put inside the neutron bomb, and that'll activate it. It doesn't make any sense. And apparently Dr. Harden, what the hell his name is, what the guy, yeah, Steve, what was his name, Jeff, what the fuck was this? Yeah, Hayden, that's his name. Jeff Hayden has it, and he doesn't know where it is, though. So it's like, fuck. Meanwhile, we cut back to the house where everyone's there. Jeff Hayden's daughter is back from college, and she's all sad and shit, and Steve's trying to comfort her. But he's being very touchy. He's being very, again, it's like not like a sexual touchy, but like a brotherly touchy. Just like, oh, there. Eventually, Dr. Mills and Dr. Wendy show up, and they're all sad and stuff. But Steve's like, wait a minute, you were working with Dr. Hayden on this project? He's like, yeah, with Flag project and also another project. He's like, what's this other project he was working on? I mean, okay, you know about the secret, the super soldier serum or the Flag serum. What's his other thing? And he's like, it was called Project Zeus. And it was about building a neutron bomb. It was the only people that knew about it was myself, him, Tom Brackett. Well, they mentioned Tom Brackett, countless times, but he never is on screen with them until very late in the movie. Tom Brackett is the greatest person I've ever met in my life, Steve. And I know he would never try to hurt good old Jeff. He would never do that. Not the Hefe. No, absolutely not. And he's like, okay. And also Dr. Wendy. He's like, well, I mean, she's a woman. You can't trust him. Am I right? It's like little sexist, but okay, fair. And he's like, listen, Steve, wanted to go ahead and just let you know if you need anything, if you want me to put your dad's glands inside of your tummy, just let me know. He's like, I still got to think about it, sir. And then we get a really weird scene of Reb Brown constantly picking up photographs and looking at them. Like for a long time, and I don't know why. I just don't know why. And then eventually there's a ring-a-ding-ding on the phone. He picks it up, and it's the fucking blonde-haired guy who was tracking him earlier in the movie saying, Steve Rogers, is this Steve Rogers? He goes, it is. I know what happened to Jeff Hayden. Meet me at this undisclosed location, and be sure to show up alone, because I'll also be alone. Wink. And he goes, okay. Steve's not smart. He's not that smart. He's like, sure, I'll show up alone. And so thankfully his dirt bike still works. His dirt bike is still working. And he drives out to this fucking abandoned gas station, gets off, and waits there. And then the blonde guy and the turtleneck guy show up, and they're going, Steve Rogers, do you know the location of Project Zeus and the microfilm? And he's like, I don't know what any of that is. You must die! And then they attack him. He's like, oh! And he gets back on his motorcycle, chatting, and a very long motorcycle scene. The thing is, they didn't have proper lighting for this scene, and you don't know what the fuck is happening. You have no idea, because it's so dark out, and so all you can see is the motorcycle's headlights and the car's headlights, and it's like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. But eventually, these guys are like, fuck it, we gotta take him out. And so, it's not even that. Like, they're actually, because Steve's on the motorbike, he's going a little bit faster than them, because they're on a dirt road, and they're like, fucking shit. And then this random, truck driver is going down this road, and Steve just goes, slams right into him. Fucking motorbike just flips over the truck. He falls off down the cliff. Bah, 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 bah. Motorbike topples down. Pow, big explosion, chat. Well, Steve is just like, and the fucking truck driver's like, oh, fuck. He just takes off running. She's like, I ain't being blamed for this bullshit. Morgan, what's your base up, Chris? Had a bad day? No, apparently Joppa was trying to figure out how to apply all the business. Oh, no, with manager knowing. That was a bus, come home, dogs on your blood. Oh, no, thank you for de-stress me. And I'm sorry, Mordecai. Sorry about all those things. Hope your dog's going to be okay. I'm sure you'll get another job opportunity soon, but it's an absolute pleasure to have you here. And thank you for the 10 biddies, good sir. Oh, Lord. Oh, Chris, what you said means boss in Spanish, not Jeff. It means Jeff. That is the Spanish word for Jeff is jefe. that's how I know, Jeff. That's how I know. So, we then cut to a hospital, and Steve is just all, he's not looking good. He's not looking good. And they've been performing surgery on him for like 16 hours, putting all of his tum-tum back inside of him, Chad. His insides became his outsides, and they're trying to put the outsides back inside. It's not growing good. And so Dr. Mills is operating on him too. And Dr. Wendy's like, she's a doctor, but she's not operating on him. She's like, oh my God, I don't know what to do, Jesus Christ. And Dr. Mills is like, we've done all we can for him. We put as much blood and things inside of him, but he doesn't have much time left. And Dr. Wendy's like, why don't we just put his father's gland juice inside of him? You mean the flag serum? Yes, the folate ability gain serum. It's like, well, that might work. But Steve has emphasized that we don't do that. She's like, it's the only thing that's going to fucking save his life. And he's like, all right, let's bring it out. And it's just this red gunk. It's just they get this big old fucking tube of it. And they put it in his IV and they start injecting him with it, chat. And then Red Brown's like, he grabs he grabs Dr. Mill's hand, and Dr. Mill's like, he's like breaking his fucking arm. Oh God, it's like a vice grip, and they're like, Reb's like, America. It's like, oh shit, this isn't good. They managed to sedate him. Chat, but he's stabilized. He just got a little excited. Summer Baby, welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing very well. Talking about Captain America 1979. They just put Captain America's father's gland juice inside of him. And so now his father's gland juice is inside of his tummy. And so, boom, he wakes up. He wakes up in the hospital. He's all like, whoa, what happened? And Dr. Mills is there. Dr. Wendy's there. And they say, okay, listen, you're going to be mad at us, but we saved your life. He's like, no, why would I be mad at you guys? You saved my life. He's like, yes, but we put your father's gland juice inside of your tummy. He's like, oh, no. And it's like, but now, Steve, like, you're not going to be the same guy anymore. He's like, well, yeah, obviously, because I'm probably going to go crazy and die in 2 weeks like those rats and monkeys and stuff you injected earlier. He's like, listen, the formula only worked on your father before, and you have the same cells as your father, so you should be okay. And listen, Ronald Reagan wants you to help us in like super secret missions, and we got to investigate this neutron bomb incident. Do you want to help? He goes, no, I don't want to help you. I don't like you. And you're like, well, if you change your mind, just let us know. He's like, I will let you know, okay? But I want to spend the time that I have left with me and drawing the children of... I know, you're an artist, I know. All right, Steve, we'll see you later. And so they leave, chat, they leave. And Steve is, he's just kind of like looking at him. He looks exactly the same. I mean, again, Red Brown looks like he's a handsome man. He's got those fucking muscles, got those pecs, chat, got them bronze thighs, chat. Beautiful man. And the nurse is like, oh, Stephen, looking very healthy today, Stephen. And he's like, thank you, Nurse May. It's like, is this Aunt May? And I was like, you're so beautiful. If you need assistance with your bedpan, you know who to call, Stephen. And he's like, I call you, Nurse May. He's like, that's right. I'll see you later. And then she fucking waddles off. And he's like, look, I feel good, feel strong. And then the fucking blonde-haired henchman comes in. He has a gun. He's like, all right, come with us or I'll shoot you. And he's like, all right. And so Steve is kidnapped by the blonde-haired henchman and some other guys. All these guys look like they're in their 40s, all have fucking pot bellies, all balding. It's not really an intimidating group of people, okay, to be kidnapped by. But they all take him to basically this... a slaughter market, this, room of, the fucking goddamn Rocky Balboa is like punching some of the cow's ribs in the back, chat. That's what it is. But put them in a meat room. And so they open it up and they close it. And they're just okay, listen, you got to tell us where the fucking film is, okay? For the neutron bomb. We need this shit. And Steve's like, I'm not telling you guys nothing. And it's like, oh yeah? Well, how about this? And they start punching him in the tummy and it's like, no, not effective. He's like, that didn't hurt at all. It's like nothing. He's like, oh shit, it's the super soldier serum. And then he's like, I can actually beat these guys. And I love it because it's the 70s. And so you have like these weird, it's very, it makes sense that this is directed by the guy who also directed many episodes of The $6 Million Man? You hear that? Like that's every time Steve like jumps or punches, it has like a weird boop bop beep sound effect. Like, and he just starts punching these guys. You're like, whoa! And it's all really bad and terribly choreographed. And he hides in the back of the meat room, Chad, the meat locker. And he's literally holding on to like a cadaver of a cow. Like he has his hands in its anus, chat, and just holding down in his fingertips, holding on for dear life, using his thick bronze thighs, chat, because he doesn't want them to spot his feet, because they'll see his feet because he's hiding among all the cadavers, because they're all on hooks. And so they all start searching for him, and it's like, you guys, you go that way, and I'll stay right here and look for him. But little do they know, Chad, is that he's been injected with his daddy's super glands. And so then he takes literal pieces of dead cow and throws them at the henchmen. They go, oh, Captain America, conqueror of beef, American bovines, my friend. That's some good old-fashioned American ground beef for you. And eventually, he takes one a hook and he throws it at this one guy. He goes, and then they're all defeated. And then he puts their bodies on meat hooks, chat. Well, at least he hooks them up by their clothes. And he calls Mills. He's like, I got some fucking jabronis here at this point. It's like, okay, shit. Well, we'll be sure to pick him up there, Captain. Eventually, Mr. Brackett hears about this, and he's like, oh, God damn it. That was my best opportunity to learn from Steve Rogers if he knew about the microfilm that we need to complete the neutron bomb to blow up Phoenix, Arizona, so I can do the plot from Goldfinger. And he's like, well, sir, the term that guy's there. And he's like, sir, do you think there's like another way which you can get the microfilm? I mean, it's clearly at the house, right? And he goes, yes, there might be a way. And it's like, all right, I don't know what that way is, chat. We'll find out soon. We then cut, and Red Brown at this point, Red Brown, he is with Wendy. He's with Wendy, I believe, Chad. Him and Wendy, and they're at the beach. They started dating, and they're all looking sexy and stuff. It's like, oh, looking really good at this point. Yeah, you know, they're kissing and smooching. Like, I don't know where this relationship came from. It's just here now. It's like, all right, I guess this is how it is. Fair enough. They're both two pretty people, and they're gonna just be smooching. Fair enough. But then their sexy time on the beach is interrupted, chat, by Dr. Mills. He comes in, and he's like, hey, Steve, listen, I want to talk to you about a few things. Do you have a minute? I don't want me to break up this little romance here. He goes, don't worry about it. It's fine. And so they go walk on the beach, and Steve, he starts talking about, how he's like, I don't know how I feel, Dr. Mills. I feel so strange at this point. Everything that I can do. And he's like, see that child over there? I just want to draw him. He starts drawing the thing. And Dr. Mills is like, that's pretty good. He says, this is what I want to do the rest of my life. But I have these abilities now. And it's like, I don't know what to do. He's like, listen, Steve, your father, your dad, when he created the flag formula, he injected himself. And he spent the rest of his life. And apparently Steve did not know about any of this. I was like, his dad never mentioned this, but he spent the rest of his life as a superhero crime fighter, is what is said. And he dressed up in the American flag, and he went around the country and the world stopping villains and criminals and crooks. And it's like, what? How did fucking Red Brown not know his dad was doing this? It doesn't make any goddamn sense. And your father, they mocked him. They mocked him for his patriotism. He wasn't one of those, propagandists. He wasn't one of those people who was, forcing, America on people. He just believed in the ideal of America. He believed in what it could be. So it's like, okay, it's kind of positive messages. Be America, Steve. Yeah, be America. And he's like, oh, I don't know what I want to be. I don't know if I can live it to my dad. It's like, you can do it, Steve. You can do it. And while they're talking, he draws a picture of what he thinks is the Captain America uniform. It's the one we see later on in the movie. And he's like, this is pretty good, Steve. This is pretty good. And so he takes that later on, and then, they part ways. Eventually, Dr. Mills, like, he comes and visits Steve, who's fucking drawing more shit or whatever, and is like, I want to show you something, Steve, okay? If you're going to be involved in these operations and to try to stop the theft of, this neutron bomb and shit, come with me. And so he's like, all right. And so they drive to this top secret facility, which is guarded by only 2 people, military police guard, but it's only 2. Actually, it's 4, but we don't see those other 2 guys. But it's just 2 people. It's a parking lot. It's literally a fucking parking lot. It's a dirt lot somewhere. They open up, and we see that, because Steve's like, whoa, is that my Seagull pedophile van? It is indeed, Steve, with some upgrades. And they drive over to the Seagull van he had earlier in the movie, chat, and they open that up, and it looks exactly the same. It's got the microwave. It's got that fucking brown shag carpeting. It's like, all right. Pretty much everything about me is Commander Shepard. After the review, will game okay. Will game okay indeed. But it's like, what the hell? Okay, it's the same ugly looking van. But he goes, No, it's not just that, Steve, because he hits a button, he presses a button, and it was a facade, like the microwave and the oven and all that shit. The AC unit was a facade, so that thing's gonna be fucking sweltering hot. And there's the Captain America motorcycle. We took your motorbike and we improved upon it, Steve. And he's like, it looks fantastic. He's like, yeah, you can just go ahead and sit on it and you'll launch you out the van. By the way, the fucking motorcycle is as tall as the van itself. So it's like, how is he supposed to get onto that thing, like within it doesn't matter, Chad. But he goes, well, Steve, I want to show you something else. They go to the back of the van, and we see, like, they move the motorcycle, and it moves forward, and he takes off the shield. He's like, this shield right here, it's bulletproof, and it's used as a deadly weapon. And he literally throws it in the air like a frisbee, and it's, like, wobbling, like all that shit. And eventually, it comes, and it's like, is it going to hit something? It's like he says, and it can be used as a deadly weapon. And he throws it, it's wobbling in the air, and it just comes back to him like a fucking boomerang. He goes, and Steve's like, wow. It's like, no, it's not wow. It's a plastic thing. And this thing wobbles throughout the entire movie, chat, whether it's on the bike, whether he's holding, it's always all the whole time. And he's like, you ready to test out the shield and motorcycle, Steve? And he goes, boy, am I. And for the next 15 minutes, it felt like 15 minutes, just probably like 10 minutes, he's on this motorcycle. And it's all it is, it's B-roll. It's helicopter shots of him riding this motorcycle, and you see it test all these secret switches and doodads and everything. And it has like a silent mode where it doesn't make any sound, which is like, all right. So the engine like completely just goes silent and things, and I guess it doesn't make any sound when it makes traction against the road, but it's fine. And so he's testing all this out, and it's literally 10 fucking minutes of you just looking at helicopter shots of Red Brown and his stunt double riding this motorcycle. Eventually, Red Brown, I guess Brackett wanted to cover his bases and is like, I still want to really fucking kill Steve Rogers for some reason. At this point, it's like, who gives a shit? But it's like, I want him to die. All right, he didn't die the first time, didn't die the second time, third time must be the charm. And he sends 2 schlubby 45-year-old pot-bellied men in a helicopter. I guess it was the helicopter that was filming him, to then attack him. And they have shotguns, and they are literally on top of him, shooting at him, but they keep fucking missing over and over and over again. And eventually, Steve just bamboozles them, chat. Like, what he does, like, they have, like, I guess a course for him to try out the Captain America motorcycle. And so he's going up ramps and over ramps and shit. And he gets, like, underneath the helicopter at one point. He goes up a ramp, but he lets go of the bike and grabs onto the helicopter, Chad. Grabs on the helicopter, and he gets in there, and he starts beating the shit out of these guys, which means basically beating the shit out of anyone in this movie is pushing people out. And so he pushes the one guy with the shotgun out, and he lands like, he lands in water. He's fine. And he grabs the shotgun, and he's like, put her down over there. And the guy's like, okay, just don't shoot me, okay, Jesus. And so then they land. And it's like, all right, cool. So they land in the middle, and then the 4 extras and Dr. Mills, they show up, and they're like, good job, Captain America. That was amazing. He's like, it's not even my super strength, Dr. Mills. It wasn't even that. I could literally, and it's like, because throughout this entire battle, you can hear the helicopter pilots talking, which is like, doesn't really make any sense. because I mean, how would we be able to hear them? But we're hearing from Steve's perspective. So he was able to hear their conversation, and this is set up. It's like, that's a really odd detail to have, that Steve Rogers has super hearing, and he has super smell as well. Like, they emphasize these things, but it's actually used as an important plot point later on in the movie. And they're like, are these guys, you think these guys going to talk? Oh, I don't know. These guys look like tough cookies. And then these schlubby guys are like, we're not going to tell you nothing. Later on, chat, we cut back to Dr. Hayden's house with Tina Hayden. She's there, and she's talking to Mr. Tom Brackett. And Tom Brackett, he's giving her the once-over. He's like, listen, interrogating her, chat, but also being nice about it. It's like, oh, yeah, I mean, your father loved me. I was basically your uncle. I was giving you toys, for years. Listen, Tina, working on this very important project. Your father was a part of it, and he would just hate for it not to be finished. Did he ever talk about any microfilm or anything like that? And she goes, no, I don't know anything about any microfilm or blue buttons. He goes, yeah. Well, was there ever like a place he would hide certain things which he knew if it was great importance that he would know that his friend Tom Brackett should be privy to? And she goes, I don't know. He's like, well, did you and your father have anything like in common that you love to do? She's like, we like to fish a lot. And she's like, you like fishing? Was there like a secret spot for fishing? It's like really weird questioning. It's like weird fishing secrets. And she goes, yeah, he would always, like, very, very odd, very specific. She said, we would always play these games, and we would, like, give secret notes to each other, and that would be, like, presents that we get each other. And he always put secret notes inside of his fishing rods. And he's like, oh, yeah, you think he might have the film in the fishing rod? She goes, I don't know. And it's like, why don't we go check? She goes, okay. And so they go up. It's like, this is a plot point, chat. It's a plot. Color Me Hazel, welcome to stream. Can he smell unwashed vagina? What a fucking statement. Yes, he has super smell, so I would imagine so. And so they go upstairs. And they check all the fish, and they literally, chat, they go to each fishing rod, unscrew them, check to see if there's something inside. No. They do this 3 fucking times. One fishing rod. No. Second fishing rod. No. It's like, fuck, just do the first one. Who cares? And then they do the next one, and it's like, and the film and the blue buttons in there for the neutron bomb, chat. And then Tom Brackett, his entire attitude changed. He's like, yes, your father would be very proud of you, Tina. She's like, really? Yeah. She's like, great, let's go have tea and cupcakes. And so then they go downstairs. And then, at this point, because I think Dr. Wendy said, I'm going to go check on Tina and see how she's holding up. And this is very confusing to me because apparently Tom Brackett's trigger is Dr. Wendy. Because as soon as she walks through the door, he's like, oh! And he pulls a gun on both of them. And you're like, what are you doing, Tom Brackett's like, I'm going to hold both of you hostage. I'm the villain. I'm the one who'll use the neutron bomb. And we're like, oh my God. It's like, why'd you even do that? It doesn't make any sense. But it's like, okay. And so he kidnaps the 2 women, chat, and they are now damsels in distress. Later, Steve and Dr. Mills, they're at the laboratory, the flag laboratory compound. And they're talking, and they haven't heard from Dr. Wendy or Tina for hours. They don't know what's going on. And then this doesn't make any sense to me, because then Tom Brackett calls them, and again, they have no idea that Tom Brackett is a villain at this point. So why the fuck does Tom Brackett call and to tell them is like, I have your women? And they're like, oh no. He's like, don't. And he's like, but don't worry. They'll be free to go as soon as I complete my evil plan. And they're like, all right. But it's weird because Steve is listening in and he hears like certain sounds that Dr. Mill couldn't hear. And so they hang up and they're like, do you know who that? And this is weird. Dr. Mills is best friends with Tom Brackett. Like Dr. Hayden, Dr. Mills, and Tom Brackett are friends. They work on multiple projects together. And so he cannot tell That's Tom Brackett's voice. Doesn't make any goddamn sense. So you respond, greeting salutations to you, hope you're living long and prospering. So it's like, whatever. It's just like, what's of all these weird, convenient plot points? It's like, we got to end this movie. It's like, we got to get to the end. It's like, all right, whatever. But then Steve's like, we don't know who that, like, Dr. Bill's like, I have no idea who that man is. And Steve's like, we may not know who he is, but I heard some background noise. He's like, what'd you hear, Steve? He's like, I heard trucks. And they're like, Tom Brackett has trucks. Tom Brackett's the bad guy. It's like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? So it's like, that must be it. We got to go over there. We got to go over there and take out Tom Brackett and save the damsels, Dr. Wendy and Tina. And they're like, yeah, but before you go, Steve, I want to tell you about your father. See, your father, he was Captain America. He was Captain America, and he was Captain America, people who didn't even want him. He was a good man, Steve. And Ronald Reagan, who doesn't know what the fuck is going on half the time, he wants you to be Captain America too, as I do. We would be the only people that would know. And, of course, Dr. Wendy and Tina. So will you take on the mantle that your father once had of Captain America? He goes, I hope I can live up to my father's image. He's like, you can do that because we made you a costume. And they open it up, and it's literally a Halloween fucking, like, Party City Halloween costume. And he's like, and fucking Red Brown's face is like, oh, when he sees it. And then Mills has my favorite line in the movie. Oh, you be Captain America, Steve. You take Captain America and shove it down their throats. It's like, that is very sexual. Like, take Captain America? Like, what are we taking from him? We're going to shove Captain America's dick down their throats? Apparently, chat. So that's what we're going to do. Red Brown's going to shove Captain America's America's dick is going to go down the throats of these fucking terrorizers, chat. All the Tom Bracketts and evil turtlenecks of the world. It's like, okay. So, then we cut, and Steve is driving the Seagull van from earlier. Chad's all been repaired. It's looking good. And eventually he stops, and the fucking doors of it on the back open up, and boom, he shoots out in the out of the back of it in full Captain America regalia. It looking like this, with the big helmet, with the goggles, and the suit. Now, Red Brown, listen, not the best actor, okay? But he has a fucking great physique. I'll give that to him, chat. But wow, this thing hides it. Really, the only thing that you can tell that's Red Brown is by his ass, because Red Brown's got a big, thick booty, and I'm like, wow, that's America's ass right there. Now, if I were to rank the Captain America asses that I have seen personally, chat, in live action, I haven't seen the 40s one, so I can't say. But Red Brown's like, wow, you're kind of in that Chris Evans territory. But Chris Evans is still America's ass, chat. He's like the best. So if I had to rank them at this point, it would be Chris Evans, asses, America's asses, Chris Evans, Red Brown, and then Matt Salinger, chat. Because Matt Salinger, he got a flat booty. There's nothing there. Nothing there in the cat. No offense to, Matt Salinger. I'm not trying to insult him. I mean, I kind of am. But, didn't see a lot of booty. But that costume did him no favors. This one for Red Brown, not much favor. But at least it gave him a nice thick tuchus. And so he drives in there, setting off, and it's not infiltration. He starts setting off all the fucking alarms, and all the security guards start coming after him, chat. He fucking, catapults over the fence, abandons the vehicle, and he starts running, and, like, you're like, oh, shit, now we're going to get an action scene of him, like, actually fighting people, like, using his Marine training. No. All they do is, it's like 8 security guards in this entire facility, 8 extras, and they just chase him around until he can move a little bit faster, and he turns a corner, and there's this big thing that says oil, and he hits this nozzle, and he sprays all this oil on the ground, and so when the security guards finally turn the corner, they all go, whoa, and they all start slipping over each other, chat. It's like a Scooby-Doo prank. It's like, whoa, and they can't stand up, and he's like, ha, 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 ha. That's it. And eventually, that's the other thing, too, because Tom Brackett, he's already moving they got the film. They're going to take the neutron bomb to Phoenix, Arizona, and blow it up and irradiate all the gold. The nerdy scientist guy has hooked up a dead man switch to Tom Brackett, and so if he's killed, the bomb will go off. And it's also going to act as his, get out of jail card if he's like taken by the police, or the police try to come after him, or federal agencies like come after him or something, chat. And so he'll blow himself up with the neutron bomb, or if he's dead, it'll explode and kill these people. So it's like, all right, cool. So Tom Brackett at this point is gone. But the nerdy guy, he sees Captain America, and Captain America, he instantly knows, like, well, you're a nerdy-looking scientist guy. You must know something. He goes over to him, Chad, and grabs him, and he's like, tell me where the damsel in distresses are. And he goes, oh, shit, okay. And they go to this giant, empty oil, like, building or whatever. This big empty oil silo. They open it up, and fucking Tina and Dr. Wendy are there, and they see Steve, and they're like, Steve. He's like, get out of here. Dr. Mills will help you. And they go, thank you, Steve. She's like, thank you, Mr. Rogers. And they leave. And then he's like, okay, tell us where Tom Brackett's going. They don't know where Tom Brackett went. And he's like, he hits the scientist against the side of the silo and goes, tell me where he is. He's like, I'll tell you nothing. And he dies, which is very confusing. Did Steve accidentally kill him when he threw him against the side of the silo? Did he crush the back of his head? Like, it's like, how is he dead? Like, I guess Steve just fucking killed him. And by accident, he goes, oh shit. Whoops. And so nerdy scientist guy is dead. At this point, all 4 characters meet up and are like, all right, we don't know where he went, but we know that he is clearly using a Brackett truck to ship the bomb. And if we just, this doesn't make any sense. And so if we base it on when he left, which I guess was several hours ago, and the radius, like, of where he could possibly go, it's like a 250-mile radius. And so if we just circle around in a helicopter and look for him, we'll find the truck. That's how they figure this out. Thank you, Luke Boss, for the bidding. He had a cyanide pill in his teeth. Oh, wait, wrong movie. I thought he did. I thought it was like, did he? But we don't know. It's not implied. We're just kind of like, okay. So I guess he did. We just assume that he had a cyanide. We don't see him going, or bite down it. We just don't know. But Reb, or Steve is like, yeah, we'll just do a 250-mile radius and find his truck. And it's not like, oh, we're going to send out like a whole bunch of helicopters, like a whole bunch of policemen. No. They go in one helicopter, Dr. Mills and Steve. That's it. And I'm like, okay, how are they going to cover all that? Okay, it doesn't matter. And so they go out there in the helicopter, and they just happen to pick the best direction. They're like, I might be going east towards Arizona. It's like, sure, whatever. And it's just B-roll of a helicopter flying. It's like we cut to the helicopter outside with a helicopter shot. We go inside the helicopter, see Dr. Mills going. We see then Steve going. And this goes on for like 10 fucking minutes. And we also cut to the truck that Tom Brackett's in. And by the way, weird that, Tom Brackett, this villain, this very rich industrialist chat, sitting in the back of a fucking semi-truck with the neutron bomb in there, reading a fucking magazine and, like, no AC. That would be so fucking hot in there. Again, you're in Arizona, in the back of a semi-truck, and you don't have an AC. It's like, what? You would pass out and die, and the bomb would go off. It doesn't matter. And there's so many, it's like 10 minutes of that. Eventually, they're like, there's the truck. They find the truck. It's a miracle that there's only one helicopter. They all find it. And then Steve changes into his Captain America uniform. And they have the fucking, the bike there. And so they they eject the bike from the helicopter, lands on the street, lands on the highway. And Steve, I guess he turned on silent mode. And they don't see him. I guess they're not checking their mirrors. These henchmen are very incompetent, chat. And he manages to get on the truck. And he climbs on it, and he goes to where the truck bed and the truck is connected. And he looks in, because there's only one fucking window. Only one little ventilation window for Mr. Brackett. Sees him reading a magazine, just jerking off vigorously, chat. Just like, I'm going to be so rich. Just going off on himself, chat. And Steve then sees, like, one of the smoke, like, one of the truck smokestacks, where the exhaust comes out. And he breaks that shit and just forces it through the window. And basically gives Tom Brackett black lung, chat. He just forces all that exhaust, and Tom Brackett's like, oh, turtleneck guy, help me. And they're like, whoa, what's going on back there, sir? And they pull over. They get out of the truck. And then they're like, oh, let's get the door open. He sounds like he's coughing. And then fucking Steve appears above them, just pushes them over a hill where they die, I guess. And they die, or they're like, ah, and that's it. Like, no cool action scene of him jumping down and going, pa, 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 nothing. Just like, fuck you. He then goes in back of the truck, which is now filled with exhaust, and Mr. Brackett's like, they can't breathe and shit. And Steve's like, are you okay? He's like, he's not okay. And he contacts Mills, who's on the radio. And he's like, Mills, he's like, what do you see, Steve? He's like, I got Brackett here. He's like, do you see the neutron bomb? Oh, yeah, it's here. It's like blinking a whole bunch, though. He's like, oh, shit. Check Mr. Brackett. He might have a detonator. And he checks him, and he sees, like, the dead man switch on his chest, on his tummy. And he's like, there's like a thing on him. It looks like a detonator. It's like, it's a dead man switch, Steve. Is Mr. Brackett okay? Mr. Brackett's like, he's like, nope. He's not. He's not okay. I might have given him the black lung. I might have basically given him 25 years of smoking in the span of 2 minutes. And it's like, oh shit, I'm gonna come down there and perform CPR. And so Dr. Mills lands, like all this in the scene. He lands a helicopter. He has all this medical supplies. He runs over, chat, and the finale is them resuscitating a nearly 60-year-old man. That's it. He goes, are you okay? Are you okay? Until he finally, his heart starts to, work again. And then it's like, yeah, we did it. And then immediately cut. And we're then back at the house, the Hayden household, chat, where Tina and Dr. Wendy are, and Mills and Steve Rogers are. And it's weird because we see this old woman come out of a car, and Tina's like, that's my mom. And I'm like, it's Catherine. Remember when fucking Hefe, good old Jeff Hayden, chat, said Catherine? That was his last word. So apparently, we learn here that Tom Brackett has been trying to get this film from Jeff Hayden for a long time. And, like, supposedly, Jeff Hayden's wife, Catherine, died in a plane crash like a year ago, but it actually didn't happen. What happened was Tom Brackett faked the plane crash and kidnapped Catherine. We just learned this through dialogue. And so that's why he was saying all those things, and he said he wouldn't help even though he had his wife. Blah, yada, yada, yada. It doesn't matter. There's the mom. And Steve, when Dr. Wendy's like, isn't that beautiful, Steve? He goes, yes, it is beautiful. And I need to draw. And he draws the chat and looks beautiful. He's got his arm around Wendy. And Dr. Mills is like, Steve, you did good. Captain America did good. And he goes, Captain America did do good. But there's just one thing. I want to be the Captain America my father was. I want to be like him. I want to look like him. And I need a costume change. And then we cut. And Steve is now wearing a new costume, it looks a little bit better. Which is the costume he wears in the sequel, Captain America 2, A Death Too Soon. And he's got a new improved motorcycle. And he's like, yeah. And then him and fucking Dr. Mills at the end is like, you look like Captain America. Just like your dad. He's like, yeah. And they do the like, yeah, jumping up in the air, slow motion, high five, chat. It's like, yeah. And then it cuts. And then we get the end credits. And that's it. That's Captain America 1979. It ends with them performing CPR on an old man. That's the finale. This is what happens when you can't afford when you can't afford Italian fascist Red Skull in your TV movie. Yep, and there you go. Great review, Chris. Thank you, Hamilton Burger. This sounds like everything I detest in the movie. It's really boring. That's the thing, chat. Like, there are some unintentionally funny things, like, you're going to shove Captain America down their throats. It's like, that's funny. It's like, okay, I like that. That's a good line. But there's just literally nothing happening. It's a TV movie. It's the A-Team. It's the $6 Million Man but that's all it is. It just happens to also star Captain America. It's just a really boring thriller. Action's bad. It's poorly choreographed. It's filled with stock footage and B-roll that is unnecessary. They could have took out a lot of scenes and would have been the movie's over 90 minutes long. It's like 96 minutes. You could have taken out like 20 minutes, and this could have been like an hour 16. That would have been perfect. It would have been fine, but not perfect. But it would have been more tolerable. But that extra footage is like, there's no point. It was made for $150,000, and you could tell because it looks cheap. Reb Brown has famously said, "We made it for $1 million." Like, no, you didn't. That was $150,000. Like, I don't see where they put $1 million in here. Very, very cheap chat. And call me Hazel Sleepy. Unless that's the representative of Mr. Tom Brackett, Captain America's arch enemy. Nappy time. Oh my Lord. It's a bad movie, chat. Like, you know, I think I like the 1990s Captain America better, even though I kind of like Reb Brown more as Captain America. It's weird. Like, I think the 90s Captain America is more entertaining. There's more goofier shit in there to laugh at. But I think I like Reb Brown's version because it's like, at least he acts like, I mean, it's this very hippie Captain America. It's kind of throws you off, but at least she's not being a piece of shit. He's not being a piece of shit like, well, my tummy hurts and I'm going to steal your fucking car. He's not doing stuff like that. So, nice Captain America's a better movie, but Reb Brown, better Captain America than Matt Salinger is what I'll say. But overall, chat, it's some old bullshit on the double toasted scale. So not a fuck you, not quite a fuck you, but definitely a some old bullshit for me. So he just I can't remember. I mean, he's hot. He's really hot in the movie. He's got thick bronze thighs, shed. Those muscles, woo, he looks good. One day you have to do a review of the 1974 Wonder Woman TV movie starring Kathy Lee Cross. Oh my God, I have to, absolutely. No doubt about it. It's kind of like how George Clooney is a better Batman than Val Kilmer, but he's in a worse movie. See, I don't agree. Well, I don't know. I mean, he's got that head bob. All the fans wanted Clooney. He was like the big fan choice back in the day. Like, oh, George Clooney's perfect for the role, but we saw the movie. Yes, chat, yes. Oh, I'm here lying for the movie, but why? Brackett's no mad dog killer. He's after something. That's right. And that's when they fucking mention the whole line about the gold. It's from Goldfinger. They're going to release the neutron bomb in Phoenix, Arizona, because there's a repository of gold there, and he's going to radiate the gold, and then his own gold reserves will increase in value. I was like, that's fucking stupid. I find that he can smell unwashed vaginas from 5 miles away amusing. He can also do that. He has super hearing. He has super smell. Which, does Captain America have that in the comics? I don't think he has it in the movie, as far as I know. Oh, Lord. Good to have you here, Call Me Hazel. But there you go, chat. That was Captain America, 1979.